Good afternoon. This is the House Appropriations Committee. It is Monday, January 26th, 2026. It's just after 1 p.m. and we are back to finish up with the Budget Adjustment Act for FY26. The way it's going to work today is we will look at the documents the JFO spent the weekend putting together for us based on what we voted on our straw poll on Friday. After they go over it and answer any clarifying questions, we will go off live, give everybody a chance to actually read everything. James and Grady and Emily will be around to answer questions if you're going through things, if you find errors or can't remember why we did something or whatever, they'll be here. And I'm thinking we'll probably give ourselves maybe an hour and a half to do that. And then we will come back, finish up any other questions, and then we'll take our real vote. And then we'll be done for the day. Okay? Any questions on that? Great. Take it away, please.
Thank you. For the record, Emily Byrne from the Joint Fiscal Office and
James Duffy, Joint Fiscal.
And the only Representative Shai, the only thing I would add that if there are specific questions for folks like Nolan or Chris,
Oh, yes.
we will get in touch with them for you.
Great.
If you need something from someone, so we'll figure it out.
All of JFO is available to us.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
So we will hand out first the big spreadsheet, and we thought we would just walk through the changes.
Thank you.
Which are all highlighted in blue in the House column, just the differences from the governor's recommend.
And these are on our webpage, the committee webpage.
Email to you.
Pardon?
These are in my email to you all.
They are.
Not yet posted on
Are
the
they
committee web.
attachment?
Yes.
Good. Okay, one to Tom, yeah.
So starting up at the top, the gray box doesn't change. Remember, that's what actually passed in FY26. So I'm just gonna hit on the stuff that's in blue, so the things that are different. So hopefully they are.
Yeah, this is
Look familiar.
general fund.
Only general funds. Yep, that's correct. So at the very top, the first three lines, we forgot to include on Friday, which is sort of ironic, given that it impacts the branch, that the legislative branch itself. But there are the three changes to appropriations. They're net neutral. Should add that to the notes. But this is moving legislative operations to legislative council and the Joint Fiscal Office. So it's a net zero impact. But wanted to reflect those here.
That was the 10 pages of stuff Bryn came in with to remind us of the.
They were dividing it
Right.
separately.
Right. So we have lots of stuff in our language about this, just crossing things out and cleaning up the statute. Okay.
Okay, and so the next one on line 13.1, this is the change that we talked about on Friday, which is taking the pilot appropriation or the reappraisal and listings payment appropriation, which is in B139, shifting that from the general fund to special funds, thus freeing up $3.4 million of general funds to be allocated elsewhere.
The pension, et cetera, what we had to do. Right.
Correct. So the next line, be 39.1 in the health department. This is adding $45,000 to Vermont Cares appropriation. Down on line 59 and 59.1, this is the change related to the shelter investments and the Housing Opportunities Program. So this is taking $1.3 million that was proposed to go to shelter investments and redirecting it to the Housing Opportunities Program. And in the language, you'll see the specific allocations to the entities receiving those funds. Are there any other questions on the first page?
Annie?
Great. We'll go to the second page. The first line right at the top, 62.1. This is the Meals on Wheels grants going to Dale. The next two lines are the additional funding for taking the money from the EFR appropriation, the nursing home emergency financial relief, and reallocating it to cover the 2% increase for the AAAs and the ERC rate change, taking it back up to the amount for taking it back to the FY25 levels. Okay, and then, so those are all the changes that are going on in the base. Next, we have the one-time changes. The first one in 76.1 is the accountability courts, another $500,000 as recommended by the governor who's in his updated budget adjustment request. 76.2 is where we find the $3 million needed to meet the ADEC for the Beasters pension plan. It's requested by the treasurer. Line 77.1 is the additional funding for the Medicaid non-emergency transport. This is the general fund component of it. There is global commitment involved, so there's federal funds and there's federal fund and general funds involved.
The only additional note we wanted to flag for you all on that, we discussed that adjustment last week, but we talked to AHS Friday afternoon, who did point out that that is a base builder going into FY27. So it can live for the purposes of BAA as either a one-time or a base appropriation. Technically, I don't think that matters for our purposes, but just for your all information, that will be incorporated into their base going into FY27.
Okay, so then the next line, 78.1, is the bridges to additional funding for bridges to health. 167,000 there. In line 78.2, this is the general fund component of the additional spending associated with the recovery centers. So the total spending is 420,000. You'll see in the web report for this section, both the additional general funds plus the additional substance misuse special funds for that. I should highlight that blue.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that's, should be blue. Okay,
There's always something, right?
that's why we go over it.
Yeah. Line 79.1, this is the Read Vermont program that the governor proposed in his updated budget adjustment that is waiting for further testimony potentially in the budget. So it is not, no additional funds are appropriated to that in the Budget Adjustment Act this time. The next one, line 81, this isn't highlighted in blue only because it's the governor updated it and you accepted the update, but the Brattleboro Retreat reconciliation payment, that amount was reduced just based on updated negotiation numbers as part of this. And 81.1 in the Agency of Agriculture is another $400,000 for Vermonters feeding Vermonters. And then the last, second to last line in blue in line 84.1. This is more just as a, there are no actual appropriations that are changing as part of this, but I would just put it out here as a zero to remind everybody that there is a sort of redesignation of $5 million of the $50 million that was appropriated to the Secretary of Administration for federal fund reductions. So it doesn't get, we're not reverting and reappropriating or changing any appropriations. We're just saying, you've got 50 million here, take 5 of it and do this thing with it. So that's why it reads as zero, even though it's really a $5 million change.
Because it's not general fund. right?
Well, and it does.
General fund, but it's already designated.
It's already been appropriated, yeah. So it's not changing, it's not adding or subtracting from appropriations. And the last one is the transfer to the pilot special fund. The governor's recommended proposed 67,000 of general fund and another 292 of transportation funds, and that transfer is not happening.
AOT thing that we're gonna.
Correct. So after all of that, buried down at the bottom line, there's about $15,000 of unallocated funds at this point, which is the right amount, just in case one of the global commitment matches is off or something like that. But that's where we end the same amount. And that amount would be reserved and carried forward into next year. But for purposes of this, the 74.91 as proposed by the governor is the same amount reserved for next year.
Where do we see the 15?
That 0.02 on line 102.2. Oh, he's all got 0.2s.
It's 18, it was 18,000.
It's 18, okay.
Yeah, and so it shows up there as 0.2 because they round, it rounds.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's it. We also have, I don't know that I need to hand these out if you want to look at them, copies of the reversions. Nothing has changed from what the governor proposed, but you're assuming there will be $35.9 million worth of reversions in the Budget Adjustment Act. And then we also have the transfers to and from the general fund. Again, I can hand these out if you would like, but you can also have them.
I'll get copies, but you don't have to hand them all out right now. If people want them, when they can come pick them up.
We basically walked through those transfer changes when I walked
Yes.
through this, so if you want to see it in more detail, we have it.
Okay, that all sounds familiar.
Great.
Okay.
So we've given you a copy of the web reports. You should go through and make sure that, the notes make sense, the numbers.
Yeah. If there's some language stuff we should check before.
And yeah, I would read through the language, make sure it refers to the things you want it to refer to.
Okay. Is there anything you need to point out to us in the language at the moment before we go?
We did update the childcare language that I spoke about on Friday. We tried to there's a little, very small clarification, which Grady can show you if you want, but you probably won't even notice it. It just says reserve and transfer it to the childcare.
Okay. Okay,
Was the piece that was,
all right,
I think everything else should look familiar.
okay, great, great, all right.
Oh, the one that we didn't talk about that we had to draft on Friday, the criminal records check.
Oh, yes, was there language for that?
Yeah.
Hey, why don't we look at that for a second?
Bringing next in from fiscal office. I think it's strictly remember or so on the document that I handed out, the current draft of the bill language, if the committee refers to page 33, you'll see in section 53 an amendment to Act 27 in section D101, the fund transfer section, in sub I on 13, and then going forward the rest of the lines on that page, just explicitly lay out intent language for the General Assembly that the transfer that's occurring there is one time, and directing the Department of Public Safety to include as part of its FY28 budget presentation, the submission of a sustainability plan for the fund, or proposals for alternative fund sources for those associated salary and benefit costs that this transfer is meant to address, or both.
Thank you. So I'm wondering, that's a year from now, which is why you were doing it, that makes sense. But I'm also wondering if, and I'll look to Trevor or anybody else, whether we want that for budget adjustment next year as opposed to the next budget, or if that's unreasonable.
This is Marty's Department of Public Safety.
That's right.
Yes, this one.
Anything judiciary, I
No.
think. Trevor, so. I guess what's gonna happen is it's gonna happen again, probably, between now and then, which isn't unreasonable to expect since they haven't fixed it yet, but I'm just wondering if that's the timeline we want. Just a question.
How about we ask for a report on January 1st or December 15th? So that we could act upon it in budget adjustment if we want to.
The committee could also just treat that language rather than saying fiscal year 2028 budget presentation as part of its fiscal year 2027 budget adjustment presentation.
We won't be meeting in December next year. But yes, but then it would have to go through, it would still have to go through Adam and all of that to get to us. I mean, I think that could work.
for
What do you
budget
think, Marty?
adjustment.
Yeah, because we get it in the first week in January. So as part of their presentation for budget adjustment, they have to tell us what it was in January.
Yes, or a report, and then we consider it budget adjustment. Either way, I mean, I think, I agree. I think we want at least an analysis from them and some kind of a suggested plan earlier than fiscal year 28.
So submit a plan.
They shall submit a sustainability plan or any other proposals for alternative fund sources. Probably the proposal is going to be simply a term fund transfer, but yes, I think we would want to do that by January, so we
Right.
would put it in the budget adjustment if we need it.
Right, so we could just say as part of this fiscal year 2027 BAA presentation. That work?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Is there anything else we need to bring up before we go off and read on our own? Anybody?
I think that was the only one that at the end of the day on Friday, we said,
Yeah.
drafting.
Yeah.
For Monday.
Great. I'm not seeing other questions that we need to have answered right now, so what I'll suggest is that we go off live and why don't we check in at 2:45 and see if people are done, so that's an hour and 25 minutes. Does that feel like enough time for people to take a look at things? And if we need more time, we can have more time after that, but if we don't, then we'll just be done and we'll vote and be done, so. So Autumn, let's go off live and we'll return at 2:45.